Welcome back, Year 5. In reading this week, we're going to take a break from our silly stories to work on some nonfiction texts. Today, we have the specific learning intention of retrieving, recording, and analyzing information from nonfiction. So we're going to look at some nonfiction passages and see what information we can gather from them. In order to gather information, you have to know what you're looking for. And in order to analyze it, you have to understand it. So first, I'm going to model for you what all of that means. Before I show you the model passage, I wanted to show you something really cute that goes with the passage. They've broken down the questions into different types, and they've used a dog to represent each type. So red vocabulary questions come with this little pooch at the top. Then we have retrieval questions, which are from Rex Retriever in blue. We have summary questions, which are from Summarizing Sheba. So each of them have a name. So vocabulary Victor, Rex Retriever, and Summarizing Sheba. There's also inference questions, prediction questions, compare, contrast, and comment questions, and author choice questions. So the names of the dogs that go with these are Inference Iggy, Predicting Pip, Cassie the commentator, and Arlo the author. So whenever you see one of these dogs next to a question, you'll know what type of question it is. You can always go back to these two screens that I just showed to see what type of question it is. Now, when we're retrieving or recording information, analyzing it from a text, all of these types of questions come up. So it's important that we've mastered these skills. And I mean, although it seems like a lot in one go, these are all skills that we use every single day when we read. So it's not like they're new to you. All right, let's get started with that model passage. So today's model passage is called Treasure Hunting. It's a very short one, and I'm just going to show you how I can retrieve, record, and analyze information. You might notice that there's some numbers running down the left-hand side of the text. Those just let us know how many words have appeared in the text so far. So after the first line, there's only 7 words. But by the time you've read down to the second line, you would have read 16, and then 26, then 36, and so on. So we know the whole passage has 150 words because, sorry, not 150, 115, because the last line is labeled 115. All right, so let's get started with this passage. Treasure hunting. In 1873, an archaeologist called Heinrich Schliemann discovered a large collection of gold and other artifacts. He unearthed them in a place where he believed the ancient city of Troy was located. The collection is called Priam's treasure, after a famous king, Priam. What is in the collection? There is a shield, a cauldron, a vase, 2 diadems, rings, buttons, bracelets, goblets, a bottle, gold cups, and silver knives. When would it have been made and used? 2600 to 2300 BC. Where was it found? It was found in the Hisar Rilke, which is believed to be ancient Troy. There is still some controversy with many archaeologists claiming that this treasure does nothing to prove the existence of Troy. All right, before I even look at the questions associated with this passage, I want to think about what I've understood from it. So it's called Treasure Hunting, and that title makes sense to me because the whole passage is about an archaeologist who discovered a treasure. In fact, he found a ton of really valuable things like rings and bracelets and cauldrons and all kinds of stuff. Now, what stood out to me is that he found this treasure in a place that some people seem to think didn't really exist. So it says towards the end that other archaeologists claim that finding this treasure does nothing to prove that the city of Troy ever really existed. So it seems that the archaeologist Heinrich believes that this treasure proves that Troy exists, that city, but others think that it did not exist and that maybe this treasure comes from somewhere else. And to make things more complicated, the treasure is really old. It says that it would have been made and used thousands of years ago, 2600 to 2300 BC. That means before the Common Era, before Christ. So that's a really long time ago, about 4,000, almost 5,000 years ago. So let's, with all of that in mind, take a look at the questions. Question 1, where was the treasure found? And I can see my little icon next to it is Rex the Retriever. So this is a simple retrieval question. All I have to do is look back in the text to find my answer. So I'm just looking for where it was found. And let's see. When I look at the passage, I see a subheading that makes it very easy to find the answer. That subheading is where was it found, next to the line with 83. So underneath there it says it was found in Hisarlik. I think I pronounced it wrong the first time. Hisarlik, it's a funny word. So that's my answer. And it says that this place was believed to be ancient Troy. So for my answer, I'm simply going to write, the treasure was found in Hisarlik. Question 2. Which two words mean the same as found? This is a vocabulary question, which is why vocabulary Victor appears next to it. So what I need to do is reread the passage and look out for synonyms or words that mean the same thing as the word found. So I'm going to take a moment and go through the text. I want you to do the same. So pause the video and see if you can find two words that mean the same thing as found. All right, and I think I found those two words in the first paragraph. Discovered and unearthed mean the same thing as found. Well, they mean roughly the same thing. So I'll write those two words in there. Now for question 3. How does the layout help the reader? I can see by the little dog that appears next to it that this is a question that's going to ask me to comment on things. So it's more of a personal opinion kind of question. Well, I mentioned this earlier. When I looked at the text, it has subheadings. So those subheadings are in bold. What is in the collection, when would it have been made and used, and where was it found? Those 3 subheadings make it very easy to find specific information. So I can write that as my answer. The subheadings in the passage make it easy to locate information. Now for question 4. Do you think that the treasure proves the existence of Troy? Why? Based on the icon next to it, this is a prediction question. Because I have to make a prediction based on the information given in the text. I have to guess something. Well, let's see. Let's go back to the text and look at the evidence. It says at the top of the text, in the first paragraph, that Heinrich unearthed the treasure in a place where he believes the ancient city of Troy was located. So that suggests to me that maybe Troy did exist. But then, further down towards the end of the text, it says that there's controversy. That means there's like argument about it. There's a disagreement. Because some archaeologists claim that this treasure does nothing to prove the existence of Troy. Well, I have 2 pieces of information and they're on completely opposite sides. So that means I can give a yes or no answer and still be considered correct so long as I use evidence to support my answer. For example, I could say, yes, I think the treasure does prove the existence of Troy because Heinrich discovered it in the exact location where he believed the city to be located. On the other hand, I could also write an answer that says no. I could say, no, I do not believe the treasure proves the existence of Troy because there is still so much controversy around the topic, and many archaeologists think that the discovery does nothing to prove the existence of Troy. So either way, so long as I use evidence, my answer will be correct. And there you have it. That's how you can go about retrieving, recording, and analyzing information from a text. So first you have to read it and make sure that you understand what you have read. So take time to think it over before you start looking at the questions. Then, as you go through each question, look back at the text to search for your answers. That's the retrieving part. Some questions will require you to analyze information, like that last question we just did. You'll have to weigh out the evidence from the text and make a decision. Make sure you justify your answers when it's required. You can usually tell when it's required to justify your answer because it will probably say something like why in the question, or it might give you a lot of lines for your answer. A lot of lines is a big clue that you should be doing some explaining. Now it's time for your independent work. What I'm going to do for your independent work today is email you the passage that you're going to read. It's up on the screen right now, these 2 pages. However, the screen is far too tiny for you to be able to read it clearly off of it. So I have sent it to your email. I probably sent it last night, so you should have it there waiting for you. You'll read through the passage and take some time to think about what you've learned. I recommend that after each paragraph you've read, think about what it's told you. What do you understand from it? What questions do you have? What connections have you made? Think before you continue reading. That way you're sure that you've comprehended the passage. These are the questions that go along with the passage. There are quite a few, as you can see. They all also have those doggy icons with them, so you can tell what kind of question you're looking at. You can see there are a couple of retrieval questions, some inference questions, and so on. I know these are quite a lot of questions. Usually I give you about 3 or 4 questions for your independent work, which is why you do not have to do all of these today. This task will be due tomorrow. So today is Monday. You don't have to turn this in to me until Tuesday. So you can email it to me Tuesday evening, and that's perfectly fine. You'll get full credit for it because I know it's a lot of questions. It's up to you whether you want to handwrite these or if you want to type them up. Some of you have been typing your work in Word documents and emailing that to me, and that is absolutely fine. If you prefer to handwrite, that's okay too. I'm also going to point out that when I email you this assignment, the answers are going to be at the end of the PDF document. There's nothing I can do about that. I couldn't remove them. So I'm just asking you all to be very honest and not look at the answers if you don't have to. If you're absolutely stuck on a question and you really weren't sure how to do it and you want to look at the answer just so that you could figure out what you were supposed to do, go ahead and do that. But in your answer, say, I looked, or highlight it or something, so I know that you had to look for help for that one. Otherwise, please avoid looking at the answer page. All right, Year 5, that's all for now. Stay safe, and I'll see you soon.